Hey everybody, this is going to be my first YouTube video regarding scripting. I'm going to kind of wing it right now, and as you could see, most likely you could see my face right now if my webcam is on. A lot of the times you'll see me looking down like that because I have an eye condition. I just want to get this out of the way first. I have an eye condition, so it's better for me to see the monitor when I look down like that. So hold the jokes for a little bit, please. So today I'm just going to be teaching the basics. Pretty much I'm going to be teaching variables, what functions are, events. I'm going to be teaching all the basic stuff so that when we go more further into tutorials, we'll be able to understand how to use them more properly. So the first thing I'm teaching you right now is the type of scripts there are. Let's go here. So this is called a server script. It just says script, but they're technically called a server script. Okay? And then there's something which is a local script. The difference between these two is that a server script will run on the server more. Okay, so it runs off the server pretty much. That is kind of self-explanatory. What the server is basically this, everything here. This brick is a part of the server, and it gets replicated to the client, which is the local script. It gets replicated. Um, we're gonna be focusing on local scripts more than server scripts because we can access more of like the keyboard and everything without using stuff called remote events, and it's more basic to learn on. So we're not gonna use server scripts right now. Okay, we're just gonna use a local script, and I'm just teaching you the most basic stuff. So in variables, if you took algebra at all, you in math class, you'd have like x equals and then a number. Or you could be x equals another variable, y, um, and so on and so on. Or you could have it equal to equation, y plus 5, so on and so on and so on, just like that. In computer language, you can also do that. It's pretty much the same thing. However, there is you can assign them with more things, such as there's going to be multiple. I'm going to name them on the side. All right, so first there is something called a string, which it's either that or that. It's a quotation mark, or a height. I forget what the other one's called, but it's either that way or that way. Doesn't matter. It can matter along the line, but right now it doesn't matter. Just choose one and stick with it. That's called a string. Okay. Then we have something called numbers, or you can call it 40, whatever. That's a number. It can be a integer, if I can spell correctly. Integer, if that's even right. Number, integer. In Roblox, the way where there's not really a difference, but there can be double. It's called double. They could be called floats. In Roblox, although it doesn't really matter. That's how usually Roblox developers talk. They're called floats, double, integers, numbers. It's pretty much just a number. That's it. Okay. You do not ever write like that. That makes it a string. It doesn't become a number anymore. That's a string. So you can't do that plus that. Okay. Because you're trying to combine two things, but they're strings and not numbers, so it won't work. You'll get an error. Now after that, we have something called a bool. It's a boolean. It's like that. Boolean stands like that. This is basically true or false. It's just one of these two. True or false. That's all it is. You once again never wrap it in those. Okay, in those to make it a string. You never want to do that. Okay, that's one of the very one of the most, I would say, errors many people make when they start coding for the first time, is they start wrapping numbers and booleans into strings, because I don't know. I honestly don't know, actually. But anyways, booleans, numbers, strings. There's more values, like if you know what a table is, you can have a table. This is a table. Arrays, so much more. Okay, you can have functions in there too. Pretty self-explanatory. It's just not more than just one thing you can have stored on a variable. So on a variable, we have something, a local. So like a local x, we can name a variable anything. Hi, geez, you can't ever do spaces in variables. If you want to do a space, you would do underscore, but not that many people do that way. Most people would do, it's called camelback, the way they write things. So it would be lowercase the very beginning, and then the whatever your variable name is. So swag, okay? They would never do a space there. They would do lowercase the first word and then uppercase the next word. That's usually how they would do things, okay? And the local part of when you do this, that's basically making it, so imagine a box. Let's open up Paint real quick. So imagine that there's box here. Let's see, outline. There's this box, right? Okay. The way this box works is to get a arrow. Nope, not the thing I wanted. You can go inside the box, but you can't go out. Okay. So now imagine, see, where is it located? This should be a text one somewhere around here. Maybe not. Maybe whatever. We'll just write out. So there is a local on the outside. Okay. So inside this box, everything inside this box can get this variable x. Okay, local x. Everything can get that variable local x. Okay. However, just say we have another box on the inside of that box. Make this black. Just so we have another one of these. And this time we have one inside this box called local, if I can spell, y. Okay. Now this is a bit different. Okay. Just say we're trying to get the variable y inside this box right here. Okay, we want it right in this box. We cannot grab y because it does not work that way. We can't take local y and then move up. Okay, we can only go down. So local x can go into this box, but local y can't go upwards. So in coding terms, that might be difficult to understand with the box actually idea. Let me just show you. So local x equals 1, right? And print is a function that just allows you to print anything. So x, that will just puts a variable right there called 1. If I did that and I pressed play and we look down right at the bottom here, it says 1, okay? So now if we tried something a bit different and then we did we made a function, called it test, and then end it, and this time we did local y equals 2, print y. Okay, I didn't teach any functions yet, but I'm just trying to get you to understand what local does. Now we tried printing y and it came back nil. Nil is basically nothing in coding terms. It's null, nil, undefined. It's pretty much just nothing. Okay, there's nothing assigned to that variable, and there is nothing. We cannot get y because y is already inside a function, which is basically the box. You can't get it because it's inside there. X we can get because it's not inside anything. It's directly outside. If I were to remove this local, okay, and then I would do it. Then we get the variable, because now this is globally. So when you do it this way, it's kind of like global. Everything can access it. When you do it local, only inside this function can grab it. Why use local? Why not just make everything global? Well, if you use local, that means you can assign variables of the same exact name inside of different functions. So it allows it easier to understand than assigning a different variable name for everything. Okay. So let me just keep that up. We can have local bool equals true, or false, doesn't matter. Then we can have a local number. Then we can have a string hi. Then we can have, well, we don't want to call it string because it's blue, so capitalize it. Everything's case sensitive here in programming. After that, then pretty much that's all the basic ones you need to know. Then we have operators. Operators are multiplication, division, and all that. So if I did a asterisk, that star, that would equal to multiplication, if I could spell it. Then if I did subtraction, that's dash, subtraction, obviously, plus addition, self-explanatory. The / is equal to, that would be division, and then there would be modular, which is it gets a remainder of something, which is that. But yeah, we don't need that right now. That's all you need to know. That's all what you need to know for now. And now there's something that return a bool. Okay, stuff like this. So if I were to type in that does not mean, like right here, I'm assigning that variable. This does not mean assigning. The way I remembered it is first one it always says equal, and the second one always says 2. So this says equals 2. This says number equals 1. If I would have wrote number, if I wrote that, this is saying number is equal to 1. Okay, so it's seeing if the number is equal to 1. So that would be, if number is equal to 1. You don't have to then know this yet. I'm not going in depth. I'm trying to explain of what that is. So it's just comparing variables, and it's going to return. It's going to give you a true or false value. So if I did true, if a true is equal to true, then obviously that's correct, right? It is correct. A true does equal to a true. Then this basically, right there, true equal to true, if you were to basically delete it, right? That's just basically saying true right there. If I were to say true, those two aren't the same. So it always is checking to see if they're the same. If they are the same, then it will return true. If it doesn't, then it will give you a false. So it says false. That's what it would give you. Okay? It's checking variables. So that says equal to. Then there's this. That's greater. It's whatever. Greater than, I believe. Less than. Then there's greater than or equal to. Whoops, I'm sorry. Then there is less than or equal to. And then there's a not. Basically, it's the opposite. So if I did not true, then it's saying false. Okay. It's hard to explain at the very beginning because you don't know how to use it yet, but you will eventually. I'm gonna keep all this here. So this is called commenting. Basically, none of this code will run. It's just for looking at. So everything here will never run. It's just so you can keep looking at that and see what I mean. Next thing I'm going to teach you is functions. I'm trying to go a bit fast. I'm sorry. You can just comment below if you have any questions and I'll answer them. Functions are basically code inside of a block that you can always call. It makes things easier so you don't have to keep writing them out again. So I'm going to give you an example. if I called function, and then you get to name this function whatever you want. You can name it whatever you want. You can name it test. You can name it my name or my username. You can name it anything. Okay, you want. I'm gonna name this test. All right, and then you do a parenthesis, which makes it so that you can call it, and then you press enter, and then it should automatically make an end for you and everything. This end basically means anything in between this function and end is what code will be ran. Okay, so I'll give an example. If we did print, and then we can give a string, which is, you know, like words and stuff. Hello. And then wrap that in that parenthesis just like that. Now, if I were to run this, nothing is printing out. This is because we did not call this yet. This can only happen if we call it. In programming terms, it's called calling a function. Basically, we're just going to, we want to initiate it. We want it to start. By doing that, we legit can, if you just want to, you can just copy this and paste it. It's just the same thing. The same thing you named it. And it will print hello world. Okay? You can get more. This with the function also, you can also name it local too. So you only can call that, you know, if it's in the box, as I told you and mentioned it before. You can also make functions variables. I'm going to show you how right now. So if I did...
Group shout from Data Reborn.
It's a bit different on with a variable. Variable would be, let's just say, test is equal to function, and then this time you just leave it like that. You don't put anything in front. You just leave the parentheses and press enter. Okay, that's making a function without a name, and it's assigning it to this test. So now, if I did print hello, and I did print test. I'm sorry. Nope. I'm sorry. We just did test. Call it. It says hello. Now, the cool thing about making these like this way is because if I just did print test instead of calling it, so this time I removed the parentheses from the side, so now we're not calling this anymore. We're just trying to print the variable. If we do that, it prints a function. Okay, that's good just for future reference. You probably never use this. I never use it this way, but it's very good for future reference. Just because when you're reading code, lots of other developers use it. But I never personally use it this way. So, also with functions, let's see. Alright, with functions, there's also something called parameters. Parameters are something you can pass through it as a variable. So we're going to name a variable anything we want. Let's call this P. Okay, we can name it whatever we want. Okay, I'm going to write here. This is a variable now. Right here, inside test, we can pretty much copy this. This is what I learned. Just copy, paste it. Okay, that's what I got to do. And now here, P, we're going to replace it with whatever we want. Okay. So you can give it a number, a string, a bool, anything you want to give it. We're going to give it a string, and we're going to call this hello. Okay. And here, we're going to delete hello, and we're going to do P. Whenever you want to do something with a variable, you never put the quotes around it. You never do that, because variables are always going to be alone, and they never have quotes around them. You never do this, because if you did that, that would make it a string itself and just print P. If I did this, and I pressed play, it would print hello. This is because I'm passing hello to the function test, and P is now hello. So it prints hello, basically. Now, if you want to learn something, it gets more confusing with it. This took me a while to understand. There's something called return. If I returned hello, just delete the parameter. What this does is it gives back something. So if I said x is equal to test and then print x, basically what happens is when I call this, a return method does is it makes the whole entire function test stop. So whatever is being ran stops it and makes test, the function test, equal to whatever's returned. So what's happening is when I call this, it's saying return hello. So basically what's happening is this is what's happening, saying test is equal to hello. That's basically is what's happening right now. You can't write it like that. I'm just giving an example of what it's saying. So test right now is equal to hello. So if I were to run this right now and press play, you would see it say hello. Okay, that's what returning does. You'll always use this. You'll need to know how to do this. You'll always use a return in order to give something to a function you created and have it give you something back. Yes. All right. So now the last thing I want to teach you is events. Events are the way it sounds. Pretty much, you can picture it in your head. It's something that happens based on another thing. So, for example, if I pressed Q, you pressing Q makes something happen. Okay, it's like it's watching to see if something specific happens. So if I were to do so I'm gonna give an example of I'm gonna give an example of something. This method is deprecated, meaning there's a new method of doing this event with pressing Q, but I do it this way just because it looks easier to understand than the new way. If we did player dot let's do whoops alright, so right here, since we're in a local script, we can do this. We can say game.players.localPlayer. Only can do this if we're in a local script. This gives us the player, okay? That goes inside here. So if I did play and I looked at this, players, this gives us, right? Now if I did dot mouse, I believe it's like that. Yeah, I think it's like that. Dot mouse, dot key down. Okay, yeah, I think that's how you do it. So the mouse, now we have a mouse. Now in Roblox terms, a mouse is everything. It's your keyboard too, okay? It does not just stand for your mouse. In Roblox terms, a mouse is also your keyboard, okay? So this is getting our keyboard. Now what we want to do is get an event from mouse. There's an event called key down. And then this is you don't call it as you would. That's a function that's calling it. What we do is we want to connect it and make it run whenever key down is happening. So you do this right there, which is, I forget what it's called, the 2 dots, and then type in connect. Okay, basically it's just it's getting the key down event, and then we're going to connect it to a function. So if I did connect, and then I did test, right? Basically, what would happen is, I believe, if this is correct, mouse is non-valid member of player. Okay, it's right there. Maybe it's mouse. Mouse is non-valid member of player. So this would be a good time to go on to Roblox and do mouse. Do mouse. Okay, so player get mouse. Okay, yep, that's what it was. So it's not mouse. I'm sorry, guys. It's get mouse. Okay, so you do another thing here with the 2. It's like a method. It's called a method. It's just getting something for you. This whole entire thing is getting the mouse. So if I just were to delete this part, and I would type in mouse, that's our mouse now, and I can replace that with mouse. So now what's going to happen, yep. Alright, so nothing's happening right now. Let's look at our code. It says mouse.key down, connect test. Test and test returns. That's why we want to make sure it prints hello. Now I'm gonna, once this works, I'm gonna explain to you why. Alright, so now whenever I press down a button, it's calling hello. It's printing out hello. So what's happening now is right here, I'm doing game.players.localPlayer. That's the player. That's our player. You can't call this for any other player and get their mouse. You only can do this inside a local script and only for yourself. Okay? Get mouse is getting the mouse. It's basically your keyboard. It's getting your mouse. It's getting everything incorporated with user input. Okay? Now, mouse also has a event. If we go back here and we look at mouse, it has properties right here, and then it has events right here. Okay, this is more for, it's for a different thing. We would have to look for the other, let's see, get mouse. It's a bit different, but as you can see right here, this is another event called button one down, and then we connect it to a function. Okay, so this right here is an event. Key down is an event that's inside the mouse. It inherits it. So mouse has a function called key down. Okay, or it's an event called key down. Then we have to connect that event with a function, and I connected test. I connected key down with test. Okay, right there. If we were to look it up, Roblox key down, right here, we can see that key down also gives a key parameter. It gives us a key parameter by default, no matter what. So if I put key in here, player.keydown.connect, mouse.keydown connect, and then test. It's going to run this, okay, but this event also gives you the key that they pressed. So if I instead were to type in key and press play, see, press D, A, W, S, D. Some keys you can't see with this type of input. So if I press space, you can't see anything. Press control, it gives 2. Shift, it gives 0. Caps lock, tab, it gives so much different input than what you would expect. I believe that's where I'm going to leave it. Although I do want to let you guys know that you also can instead, you'll see a lot of developers do this, instead of actually just writing a function and then connecting it to it, they would literally just write out function. They don't give it a name, so they just write 2 parentheses and type it end, and then they press enter. So whatever happens inside of here would be the whatever's code is ran when key down happens. They do this because it looks a little bit nicer, and you can see whatever is ran during the mouse instead of having to look for the function itself. So this won't run anymore. Anything inside this will run. Okay, so literally all we did is we changed test to, let's do spaces so you can see it clearly, function, and it doesn't have a name because we're never going to call it, and then end. And whatever's in between here, in between the function and end, is what's being called. Alright, I'll see you guys probably in the next tutorial. I'll probably be more in depth about stuff. If you have any comments or concerns of what I should go over regarding this or what I failed to explain on, please comment below and I will try to explain that again as best to my ability. Alright, thanks.